Hello, my name is Aviva, and today I'm going to share with you some friends to lovers romance book recommendations. So full transparency, this is not my favorite trope in the world, but I don't hate it either. I just always feel like only if one of them would have spoken up earlier, they could have had so much more time together. Friends to lovers is really simple, and it's usually a very sweet trope. Like the books are usually very it hits the heart in such a cute way sort of vibes. It's when two people were friends and then somehow a relationship forms. Sometimes it was like an unrequited love sort of thing where one person always liked the other person, but thought that the other person wouldn't reciprocate its feelings, so they never spoke up. Or sometimes something specifically happens that makes them develop feelings for one another, and then the story happens. So happens to be because of the whole sometimes unrequited love thing. I don't love this trope because I'm always like, they should have spoken up earlier, and then it bothers me. But happens to be in all of these books, for some reason, I wasn't bothered, and I really did love this trope in these books specifically. And I also know that this is one of the most popular tropes out there. People are massive fans of this. So therefore, I wanted to share some of my favorite books that fit into this category. First up, I have my all-time favorite romance book, as well as my top read from 2021, which is the Addicted series by Christina Lauren. So this is a collection of 10 books. I've spoken about it multiple times on my channel. If you want to know a lot of details about this book and how to read it, make sure to check the link that I have in the description below because I have a bunch of videos about this book. But in this series specifically, the Addicted series, which is a collection of 5 books where you're following Lily and Lo's perspective, these two people have been friends their entire lives. Like literally, like nobody can pull them apart. And happens to be when they were seniors in high school, they started fake dating each other because they're both addicts. Lily is a sex addict and Lo is a alcoholic, and they wanted to hide their addictions from their families. So they started to fake date so that, they had something to cover them sort of vibes. And anyway, they've been best friends forever. They literally have the cutest friendship. And obviously this fake dating best friends scenario will turn into a real full-fledged romance, and it is absolutely adorable. Next, I have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, which happens to be the first adult contemporary romance that I ever read. And I have read this book twice. I absolutely love it. I think it is an adorable romance, and it happens to be a brother's best friends romance as well as a friends to lovers. So in this book, these two people basically knew each other in college, but they were never really friends. This girl is really quirky, really weird, and she one time tried hitting on the guy. It didn't really go well. And anyway, it's years later, and this girl is at a party at her best friend's house, and happens to be her best friend's brother shows up at this party. And who do you know this guy is? The guy that she hit on in college. And anyway, she decides that he is now going to be her best friend. So she kind of like attaches herself to him. They end up becoming really good friends. They end up actually moving in with each other for a little bit because this girl's apartment ended up getting flooded and she needed a place to stay. And then once they're living together, they both realize that they're single and they really got to go and start finding somebody to have a relationship with. So they start to go on these double dates together, and then they end up having like big fails of the people that they, went on the date with, but they ended up enjoying each other's companies more. And then obviously they're going to start to go on these dates just so that they could hang out with each other more, even though, it's kind of not working out well for the people that they went on the dates with. And then obviously a romance is somehow going to bloom there, and it's very adorable. I actually have one more book by Christina Lauren, which is my favorite half-night stand. And in this book, you're following this group of friends that are all professors in this college. And anyway, they're all hanging out one night and they decide to, as a group, start going on these online dating sites because they need to all find dates for this event that their college is throwing in a couple of months or whatever. So anyway, they all agree on this, and then happens to be that night, somehow the two main people that we're following in this book end up having a one-night stand. So two best friends end up having a one-night stand, and then after the fact, they decide that even though it was a great time, they're going to stay platonic because they don't really want to ruin their friendship as well as their friend group. So then they're all going to start their online dating sort of thing, and happens to be these two people end up getting matched online, but the guy doesn't realize who the girl is, even though the girl realizes who the guy is. And then she ends up continuing to talk to him, even though she knows who she's talking to, but she didn't tell him in real life that she is the person from online. And it ends up like, going down that hill, and, you can just assume where it's going to go, but obviously a romance will end up happening by the end of the book between the two of them. Next, I have Not So Nice Guy by R.S. Gray, which is a really cute, really quick rom-com. And this is about these two best friends who work together. They're both elementary school teachers, and they have been best friends ever since orientation when they met, and they just knew that they clicked well. The thing is that they actually both liked each other, but they both didn't think that the other felt the same way because of like random things that they said over the years. And happens to be, it was also never the right time. One of them was always dating somebody, and when one of them was single, the other person wasn't, stuff like that. And then happens to be both of them are single at the beginning of this book. Like something happened, one of them broke up with their old girlfriend or something, and now they have decided to make a move on each other, and then you get to follow their romance, and it was just so sweet and so cute. Next, I have Not Pretending Anymore by Penelope Ward and V. Keelan. So this is actually also a fake dating book. These two people become roommates. One is a boy and one is a girl, and they didn't think that this would be a problem because both of them happen to have crushes on other people. So once they become roommates, they decide to fake date each other so that they can get their crushes jealous, and then while that's happening, they become really good friends. And then once it actually works and their crushes now like them, they basically realize that they actually like their roommate more than the crushes that they were using their roommate to try and get sort of vibes. And then, you know, the romance will end up happening some sort of way. So this was really cute. I really liked their friendship in this book and the way that it all developed. And if you're a fan of fake dating and you also like friends to lovers, I highly, highly recommend this one. Next, I have Culty by Mariana Zapata, which is a very slow burn romance, but if you are down for it, then I obviously highly recommend it. This is a sports romance about this girl who is a pro soccer player, and happens to be she has looked up to this pro player her entire life. Ever since she was a kid, she always idolized this guy named Culty. And anyway, now she is an adult. She is a pro player on this soccer team, and her team is getting a new coach for the season. And who do you know her coach is? This guy named Culty, who she always idolized. And then the second that she meets him, she realizes that he's actually a grump. He's horrible to be around, and she actually doesn't really like him as a person. And then they're slowly going to develop a friendship throughout this book, and it's going to be very cute, very adorable, very slow. But by the end of it, it's going to turn into a romance. So this is more of a strangers to friends, friends to lovers sort of thing. Some of the other ones that I mentioned were also like that, but my point is that this is really good, and it's also a friends to lovers romance. Next, I have Teardrop Shot by Tijan, which happens to also be a sports romance that is a strangers to friends, friends to lovers sort of book. But in this book, you're following a pro basketball player who is going to a preseason training camp, and when he gets to this camp, he meets this girl who happens to be on staff there, and she is a big fan of his, and she freaks out, and they somehow form this very unlikely friendship, and that friendship is slowly going to turn into a romance. So in this book, there is a lot of stuff happening, and both of them happen to have a lot of baggage from their past, and it kind of comes into this book and into their relationship a lot. So if you're down for something slightly more serious, then I highly recommend this one because it was a pretty solid read. Next, I have Playing with Fire by L.J. Shen, which happens to be another book where both characters come with a lot of baggage. In this story, you're following this girl who happens to be a burn victim. She has scars all over her face because she was in a fire a couple of years ago. And before that, she used to be really, really beautiful. And because of that, she is extremely self-conscious about it. And therefore, you know, that is her baggage. She is dealing with a lot of stuff. And happens to be she's in college and she's working at this food truck. And one day, this very popular guy in her college walks up to the food truck and asks for a job. So now they're ending up working together. They're in forced proximity. They're both in this food truck all the time. And, you know, basically they're slowly going to form a friendship. And happens to be this guy is an underground fighter and he's keeping a lot of secrets. He has a lot of stuff going on as well. And basically once their friendship develops, they're kind of going to break out of their shells and the funks that they're in, and they're going to form a relationship slowly. So this was a very sweet romance. It has that more serious tone going on, but if you are down for that, then I recommend it. And the last book that I'm going to share with you is Broken Night by L.J. Shen, which happens to be the middle book of the All Saints High Companion series, which is the spin-off series from the Sinner of Saints series. And whatever, it's like a whole big universe, and specifically in this book, it happens to be a friends to lovers. These two people have been best friends since they were babies. We even got to see a little bit of their friendship in the epilogues of the Sinner of Saints book. books, you know, when their parents were having their own romance. And now we end up getting their own book, and Knight and Luna are in high school, just going into college, and they have been best friends their whole life. No one was ever able to pull them apart. Happens to be Luna is mute, so she doesn't really talk, even though she can't, she just chooses not to. And Knight is kind of her protector. He's always looked out for her, always been right by her side. And basically he has been in love with her this whole time, and she knows it, but she's never reciprocated the feelings because she just didn't want to go there. And now that they are the age that they are and in the spot in life that they are, they just can't stop themselves. And throughout this book, you're slowly going to see as their friendship just can't stay friends anymore, it turns into lovers sort of thing. And it was absolutely adorable. But anyway, that's the last book that I wanted to share with you. I hope that you found some good recs in this video. If you have any other really good friends to lovers romance recommendations that I didn't mention in this video, please leave me a comment down below because I'm always looking for good recs. Also, if you wanted to see me do a specific trope that I haven't done yet, then you could leave me a comment down below as well. And if I have enough recs to fill a video for the trope you're requesting, obviously I'll do it. I'll also make sure that I have the romance playlist linked in my description of all of the other videos that I've done of this with, like, you know, enemies to lovers, fake dating. I've done a bunch of like trope videos. So if you want to check those out, again, I'll leave the link down below. But anyway, if you enjoyed watching this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you're not currently subscribed to my channel, then please hit that subscribe button. And anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, enjoy reading.